Hey, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Live. I'm your host, Krypton Caged, and I'm joined here today by my co host, the Viking. How are you doing?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Very eventful last 24 hours. Some Eternals. I got to watch that. That was pretty awesome. Then some Spider-Man leaks last night, and the internet kind of went crazy. And I've got a whole week without talking about the Morbius trailer on Real Talk Live because we didn't have a show after it dropped. So we'll get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of really cool topics to talk about today, so let's jump right into it. So the first topic would be, sorry, the first topic would be Morbius, like you said. And yeah, so this trailer came out, and it's been a week. Um, Look, firstly, I thought the first trailer that came out like 1 year ago that was really cool, and that got me interested in the movie. Um,
Yeah.
I like Jared Leto as an actor; he's phenomenal, and I know nothing about this character, and I'm very interested, and I already like the Sony's Marvel universe. Um, the Amazing Spider-Man movies and Venom 2. I like both of those. And now this Morbius trailer was very interesting 1 year ago. And now another trailer came out and I love this trailer as well. It was very fascinating to see him actually fly, and I didn't know that about him. And there's so many bats flying around him, and his design is very cool. The tone of the movie looks very much similar to a serious version of Venom 1, and I love that. So I really enjoyed the trailer. It looks amazing. The VFX and everything looks awesome. His powers look awesome. Um, I've heard people say that this is Jared Leto's best role, which could be argued that his every every role of his is his best role because he's just that good of an actor. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very interested in this movie.
Yeah. The film has been delayed and delayed so many times at this stage, but it's set to come out in January, hopefully. Hopefully, it doesn't get delayed anymore because I'm very eager to see this one. But the tone feels like what Venom should have felt like. That's what
Yeah.
the tone in this movie feels like what Venom should be. But yeah, Jared Leto's an amazing actor. He's an Oscar winner. I think when he took this role, I think he had a lot of probably he had probably a checklist, because he had a bad experience on Suicide Squad where a lot of his stuff was cut and it was just butchered and his character was butchered and now he's regarded as the worst Joker of all time on the internet and stuff like that. So we disagree, but I think going into this one, he wouldn't have signed off on their comic book movie unless he had unless he had backing from the studio, unless he liked the story, liked the director, the writers. He wouldn't have put himself into another situation unless the situation was going to be a good one. So I think this film is going to be good. I think he's going to have obviously more screen time than he did in Suicide Squad, but the trailer for me was just it was very even though it had all those cool Easter eggs and stuff. I think if you took out all the cool Easter eggs, it's still a very good trailer.
Yeah.
The VFX looks amazing. I don't know who Marvel MCU used for the VFX, but get the guys from Sony because they do a fantastic job. Look at Venom, Carnage, and now this Morbius trailer. But the rest of the MCU at times the VFX isn't that good. Whatever they do with Sony is just it's fantastic. It looks brilliant, and it looks like the Jared Leto's Morbius goes through a number of transformations throughout the film when he gets his powers, which is interesting. I think the his final form looks to be the one where he kind of looks over his shoulder and he looks like a complete just beast. And there's scenes of him. I don't know if he can fly or he's using like the airwaves to fly, like the wind or something like that. I'm not too sure if he can actually fly standing up. But saying that, the ending shot of the trailer, he was at the edge of a balcony and he kind of jumped off and this kind of
Yeah.
stuff kind of just went everywhere. So maybe
And
he understands.
he was flying in front of the train though.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's the air coming behind him or what it was. I don't know. I don't know,
Ah,
but
right, right.
that could be
Good
it.
point.
But but other than that, like it looks like a very dark take on the character Morbius. And Sony are building this Spider Verse up, and I'm very excited about it. I liked like I wasn't too thrilled with Venom One. I liked it. Venom Two, I just Venom Two felt like it didn't feel like a sequel. It felt like okay, we had number one. Let's tell this mini story, and then let's go tell the next story, which will be Venom Three. Venom Three feels like number two to me because I don't know. Carnage was just was a very fast-paced film, and it just kind of jumped from the start to the end pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But um, maybe they wanted to get as much screenings as they could with the pandemic and stuff like that. But I don't know if they were too impressed with that film overall when they hyped up the post-credit scene more than they did the actual kind of movie. But that's the thing in itself. But Morbius, um, looking forward to this one. Jared Leto, I think he'll be terrific. Hopefully, the story around him is as good as he will be. But also, all these Easter eggs are just fantastic and amazing to think about for what Sony are trying to build with the Spider Verse.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think it's also another movie that will um, tie up everything, with the Sony verse, because obviously we see Michael Keaton in the trailer, and he says basically you and I should keep in touch, and obviously they'll they'll be like, um, well, we've heard that Michael Keaton is playing the Nick Fury role and will be playing as a mentor, and maybe he's doing that in the Sony verse, because he is the um biggest actor there from amongst all the villains. So it makes sense. It
Yeah,
makes sense.
so Vulture, we got references towards Rhino and Black Cat. References towards Toby's Spider-Man, LexCorp from the Amazing Spider-Man. Whatever they're trying to do, and then Venom looks like he was thrown into the multiverse world where Tom Holland is in the MCU or something like that. Yeah, that post-credit scene. So it's interesting to see what they're building right now and what will the Sonyverse Spider-Verse look like after Spider-Man 3. Will Tom Holland be the Spider-Man, or will it be Andrew Garfield, or will it be Tobey Maguire? Will it be all three? Will it be just two of them while Tom Holland's in the MCU? Will Miles Morales be introduced in some capacity? I think Spider-Man 3 won't be the last time we see Andrew and Tobey as Spider-Man. I think they're popping up in a few more projects to come, which is exciting. And there's too much money to lose for not to use them in more projects.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. And I'm very much looking forward to this movie as well. And yeah, speaking of Spider-Man, well, apparently new pictures of Spider-Man leaked by someone we know. And um, well, I was asleep when that stuff all happened, and when I woke up, I didn't see it, and I purposely avoided it for a very, very long time until someone just showed it to me and I had to look. But yeah, I've only seen one picture of them three standing, of that. But apart from that, I haven't seen anything. So yeah, without maybe giving away spoilers or anything, do you want to talk about what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so last night, two images came out from Spider-Man No Way Home, and it looks like they were leaked and they look to be real. John Campia, who is a YouTuber, movie YouTuber, has been around the last 15, 20 years covering movies online, has over 250,000 subscribers. And he's not known for having scoops or doing like videos, breaking news. I heard this. He doesn't really do that typically. So he posted these two pictures with his watermark on at the John Campia show last night. And when I first got to see them, I was like, "Oh, is it Photoshop? Is he just joking around, having a laugh?" And the caption basically from him was, "Is this Photoshop or is it real?" And then he deleted them. So then people thought, "Oh, this must be real." And then it just blew up on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook. It was all over the internet, and people were afraid to kind of share them around in case it was true, in case these were real, and then Sony would come or Kevin Feige would come with a shotgun, massacre Twitter and Instagram. But it looks like they are real because one of the images, which reveal the character, it's such a big spoiler. One of the images give like, okay, we all knew that the two other Spider-Mans were going to be in the three Spider-Mans. Okay, we knew that. Okay, that's not a massive spoiler, but still, we would have liked to seen a first look at them in the trailer or poster instead of just a low kind of resolution um picture of the three of them just standing there. But the other character that was revealed was a huge spoiler because it was still up in the air whether this character was popping up or not, and now it's just spoiled for many people. Even though we could probably guess that character would pop up, it's just it's very annoying, very frustrating. And John Campia said that he got them sent to him and then he posted them because he thought they were Photoshop. But then why did he put his watermark on them if they were just Photoshop? Um, But he posted and then someone contacted him saying, look, they could be real, maybe delete those. And then he deleted them. He said he went and had dinner, he watched some of the football game, and he came back and it blew up the internet. So he came back to clarify what exactly had happened. And that the reason he had the watermark was because he posted a picture a few months ago of the three Spider-Mans at Peter Parker. And it was photoshopped, obviously, and it blew up, and I got like 12,000 retweets. So he thought this time, oh, I'll put my watermark on this. So if it blows up, everyone knows it comes from me. But then that defeats his logic and his excuse saying somebody sent it to me. So somebody sent him a Photoshop work of the three Spider-Mans and a mysterious character. And he decided, oh, that's cool. I'll take that and put my watermark on it and take credit for it if it blows up. A little bit strange. I don't know, a little bit strange. And then to top it all off, he goes through this big explanation saying, look, I don't know if they're real, they might not be real, stuff like that. This is what happened. But then that's up to you to decide if they're real or not. He basically said the exact same thing he had said in the original post at the very last post. So I don't know what he was up to. Is it like there's a few possibilities? He did it unintentionally. Somebody sent it to him. He thought they were photoshopped. He put them up. Made a mistake. He knew they were real. He put them up for clout. He doesn't usually do that, but maybe he did. And then the other one is that maybe Sony were involved with it as well and thought it was a great marketing ploy. But then that doesn't really make sense either because why not just put them in the trailer or poster? So yeah, people were going like John Campia last night for spoiling the first look at the three Spider-Mans and then a character that showed up. And yeah, it is a bit annoying to see that happen because before this, we didn't see Toby, and now we have seen Toby, and it kind of takes away from the reveal probably at the end of the next trailer where the three Spider-Mans will be revealed, which is frustrating. But then there was rumors going around that Kevin Feige and Sony were going through Amy Pascal were going through kind of a rift because Kevin Feige didn't want to show them. Sony wanted to show them the three Spider-Mans, and now it's been revealed anyway, so they might as well put it in the next trailer. So yeah, it's a bit of it's a messy marketing strategy. I don't know if this is the greatest marketing of all time because it's driven by fans, or if it's the worst marketing of all time for one of the most high-profile movies. Probably going to do well, but I don't know if they're trying to tamper expectations because everyone has a vision in their head of what the film should look like, but then when you go see it, it might not be that. So I don't know. That's what basically happened last night.
Yeah, it's all interesting. And right now he's live and, probably he'll be talking about, so we'll know the
Taking
answer to
all our
that soon.
he's taking all of our viewers tonight
Yeah,
around the same time. That's our excuse.
yeah. But yeah. So yeah, let's see what happens. And moving on to the topic of the day that, we've been raving about is Eternals. Man, I cannot begin to tell you about this movie. Like, we would need like 4 hours just to talk about this movie.
Yeah,
And okay, so firstly, and we won't be talking about spoilers, I don't think. But if we do, I'll just put up this banner here on screen, so you'll know. But yeah, without going into spoilers for now, I wasn't expecting much or anticipating this movie as much, because the marketing was very um, not very hype worthy or something. The trailers were very average. We didn't get much sense of what this movie is going to be. The tone was not properly conveyed, I think. This movie mainly is a philosophical, um, deep character driven movie, which tends to have some superhero elements in it, right? So, but it's also sci-fi, so that's there. But the trailers didn't convey that. They kind of were like your typical Marvel trailers, but there's not that much Marvel superhero stuff in the movie itself. So that didn't, you know, that wasn't conveyed well from with the trailers because they didn't have all that action and all that stuff. Although the third act is pretty good. But yeah, the trailers I think should have been better, but I think that actually did a really, you know, it actually did a good service for me because my expectations were really low, and I really liked the film. I thought this was very different from all the other MCU movies. Firstly, I know everybody's saying that, and that's true. And it just felt like usually in the MCU movies, they don't go that much deeper into conflicts, philosophical battles, and they don't explore them with spending time with them. They just touch upon it and just move on to the action scene and whatnot. So it's always frustrating for me at times when they do that and something of interest comes up, but then they just skip over it and don't mention it again and stuff like that. But in this movie they fully explore. There's so much stuff that I did not expect that happened. And also, the structure of the movie is pretty interesting. It keeps you engaged, even though this is kind of a slower paced film and a long film, that too. And but it didn't feel boring at all to me. I thought it was brilliant, and every character was done pretty well. The chemistry is amazing. There's humor, there's heart, there's some deep stuff in it that the characters go through and throughout the journey of the movie. I mean, and it's pretty much a very grand, mythological movie that the MCU did here, and it's pretty amazing to see that. And I loved. I watched it two times actually, and the second time was yesterday, and I loved it even more the second time, because the first viewing there's a lot in this movie, and there's really actually a lot in this movie. Like imagine just introducing 10 new characters with backstories, with a team up movie, and then also have additional characters to those 10 characters. So there's a lot that she had to do here, Chloe Zhao, and the movie is just for like 2 hours and 40 minutes. So it was kind of an impossible task. But I really did appreciate how they did it, and I think it was done brilliantly, and the structure is pretty good. It keeps the story going very well. My favorite character, I would say, is Icarus, played by Richard Madden. He is, this is an amazing character. From the very start to the very last scene, um he just nails it. Like every single beat he just nails it. People comparing him to Superman are kind of I mean, people comparing and being upset that he's being compared to Superman, I think, are missing the point. They are really not alike at all, except just for the flying and the laser eyes. There's nothing
Yeah.
else that's common there. They're two completely different characters, and Icarus is definitely not a Superman ripoff. He's his own character. I thought he was very, very, very amazingly portrayed. Like every scene he was in just meant a lot to the journey of the character, and I just cannot speak enough about this character. But yeah, um, apart from him, I liked Gemma Chan's character. I liked Makari, Druig, Thena, Gilgamesh. Everyone was amazing. Even um, there's an Indian character called Karun. He's basically a photographer for the Kumail Nanjiani character, and he's really, really
Yeah.
funny. And yeah, he's also one of the highlights. And yeah, I think every character was pretty good. The only downside to the movie I felt was that it's not long enough and it didn't explore. Okay, so they in this movie they go to the past centuries, and I thought they could have delved more into that stuff, but they didn't. Which I understand. Some, maybe a lot of them could get redundant and boring for people, but I would have loved to dive more into that, and I would have loved a 3 hour 15 minutes movie. But I know it's MCU. You have to keep it low, and I'm really surprised at how they even got away with like 2 hours 40 minutes. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk more about the movie in detail later. But initial thoughts, what did you think of the movie? You've seen this movie once, right?
Yeah.
So without giving away spoilers for now, what do you think of the movie?
Yeah, yeah. Look, this film is famously known for being hated by critics. The first Rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes for an MCU film, Terms, directed by Oscar winner Chloe Zhao. and the audience score is around 80s. So it's like between the audiences, the critics not so much, half the critics, just a little bit below half. But yeah, my expectations for this film all along weren't like. Sorry, is it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's just a little low.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So look, I didn't have much expectations for this one. In terms of because the trailers weren't amazing, the TV clips weren't amazing. It looked different from an MCU movie because it was Chloe Zhao, but I thought going into it that oh, it will just get bogged down by the MCU tropes. But overall, this is a very deeply layered film that, bar a few references towards maybe Thanos, it doesn't really take place within the MCU, even though it does, and it makes the MCU look irrelevant in terms of Thanos, the Snap, Endgame, Infinity War, because of the story that's being told right here in this one is so much more bigger and it's it's so much more important than what was going on in any of the Avenger films or Civil War or anything else. And that's what's so appealing about this movie. And characters die, yeah, and that's very rare for an MCU film that the lead characters would be killed off. Not all of them, of course, but there is stakes in this story. There is consequences for what characters do and for what they want, and it's a really great story about it. There's underlying themes about religion. There's underlying themes about what's the meaning of life, maybe, and what way you should live your life. When you Who is your maker? What would you say if you met your maker? In terms of some people believe in God, other religions have different aspects of God. So there's so many interesting concepts to discuss about this movie, and there's so much exposition, so much information that actually it's easy enough to follow along with, but it's hard maybe if you're an MCU fan because you're not used to this so much exposition. If you're someone who has just watched MCU movies for your entire life, you're probably not going to like Internals because it's so different. It feels more like it honestly it has as much exposition maybe as Dune does, in terms of what that was trying to set up. And I definitely want to see the cosmic MCU verse expanded more. I want the MCU to do their thing over there and for Chloe Zhao to do her thing right here with the Eternals and the Celestians. What exactly is going on with all these characters? Because for me, this is more appealing. This is more grand than the next Avengers film for me. The Eternal character was set up perfectly. Um, there was a lot cut from this movie we've heard, but like that's going to happen anyway. It's already 2 hours and 40 minutes. I'm sure there's probably a 4 or 5 hour cut right there. But Chloe Zhao was definitely given the freedom by Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige has talked about this movie nonstop. He is in love with this movie, and I hope that the Rotten Tomato score doesn't scar him in terms of wanting to make more films with Chloe Zhao in this tone. Because I think if the MCU continue to do this type of film, I think there's awards potential down the line with Chloe Zhao and the Eternals if she keeps up this kind of storytelling. Maybe Eternals will get nominated for a few things, I don't know, but it just looked completely different from anything we've ever seen. Cinematography was amazing. The way characters were introduced with score or music at the end of scenes, and the ending. I don't want to give too much away, but like just watch every other MCU film and just watch how they end. This movie is just the complete opposite to any of that. Maybe the
Mhm.
closest is maybe Infinity War, but then again, I wouldn't say so. Like I would have the MCU over here, and then you would have Eternals over here in its own
Yeah.
playground because nobody else can touch it. And that's how I feel about it. And more I think about it, I think it maybe is the best MCU film because it's not like it goes completely against the MCU. It still has humor, and it's a very funny movie. And the humor isn't stupid. Actually, it's there's loads of laugh out moments with certain characters. And I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't take away the dramatic moment because when the dramatic moments come, they're dramatic. And then when they use humor, it's done very well. So I love what's that character? The massive kind of god, uh, Ursum or something
Gilgamesh?
like that.
Oh, the
No, the
Celestial, the Arisham.
yeah, Ursham. That character is just massive, and that character has
Mhm.
created the Eternals, and he has sent the Eternals to Earth to take on the Deviants. But then, as the story goes on, they get more of a personality because basically at the start they're just these kind of beings that are sent there to protect Earth. But then they pick up on cultures and they gain a personality. They meet people, and then they're shaped into the people that we meet in the movie. And as the film goes on, they realize where they came from, and then they realize actually why they were created and stuff like that. And that moment right there was like, wow, that's pretty heavy. And then the ending to the movie, when you think, oh, let's all go off into the sunset, it it never ever went back to the MCU trope for me at all. The formula in terms of it sets up new movies and spin-offs and stuff, but this could be its own thing, its own universe, and not even relate to Captain America or Iron Man or any of those characters or Thor. It doesn't have to meet those characters. I don't want them to meet
Yeah,
these characters. I think what she's doing here is fantastic. And there's two post-credit scenes, and I thought the second one was amazing. Love that one. And the first one, I'm not too gone on the actor, but he might be perfect for the MCU and what they're trying to do. But yeah, the Eternals is fantastic. Definitely check it out. And yeah, I definitely can't wait to see it again. And this is a heavy film. There's so much in it, so much in it, and you can definitely relate. Like there's 10 Eternals or something like that. You'll definitely relate to one or two of them, if not more. And I think that's an important thing the MCU to do is to have these grounded elements in terms of characters that you can relate to. Because it's very hard to relate to someone like like Thor or any of these characters. Even though Thor's a god, the Eternals are even bigger than what Thor is, and the Eternals are more grounded than any of the other MCU heroes that we've seen before,
it
which
is.
is
Yeah,
weird.
crazy.
It's
Yeah,
weird that the MCU. I'm surprised this movie was let be made. To be honest,
yeah,
really surprised, really surprised. But um, Kevin Feige trusted his filmmaker. He brought her in, and she did a fantastic job, and he stood by her. When a similar thing happened at DC a few years ago, they didn't. So, and I don't think Kevin Feige will be as a reactionary as Warner Bros. Were.
yeah.
So,
I agree. And yeah, I think now we can talk spoilers. So I'll be turning this banner on, and right now on the screen you can see the spoiler alert banner. So as long as this is up, we'll be talking spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you can turn off the stream or the video whenever you're watching right now, and continue it later. So yeah, first things first. I want to talk about Icarus's arc first. So yeah, in this movie, there's one similarity with Zack's Superman in Justice League, which is the Heroes Park scene. So there's a scene in this movie when Icarus basically turns on the group of people because of his beliefs and stuff, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, there Chloe Zhao has said that Icarus, Zack's Man of Steel has been an inspiration for Icarus, and the look of that movie is similar to what they were going for. With there's another movie called The Tree of Life, and or is it just Tree of Life, by Terrence Malick, and it's an amazing movie. I think everyone has to watch that movie because it's such a life changing movie. Like it will change you. It's that type of movie. And yeah, that movie is pretty beautiful and amazing, and I definitely got that vibe from this movie as well. She totally nailed that, and I think she did a wonderful job. But yeah, coming back to the Icarus character, um, I liked how his character was shown as the person who would have faith and loyalty to his maker, which is Arishem. So Arishem is basically the god in this world, right? And
yep,
he basically created these Eternals to fight deviants, which were also created by Arishem. But it was basically a mistake because they evolved on Earth, and so to rectify that, Arishem had to create Eternals, and Eternals had to stay on Earth. So there's another story point to that, which we'll talk about later. But firstly, Icarus started off as this faithful and loyal person to the to Arsham, right? And we see his arc go through the movie. He's very protective of Cersei. He's in love with Cersei. He's protective of his team. He protects them from the deviants. He's basically the leader of he wants to be the leader of the team, but it's actually Ajak. She's basically the mother of the team and the leader. And something happens, and then he kills her. which basically was a very interesting plot twist for me because I thought that showed brilliantly um, how flawed these characters are. They are trying to be good, they're trying to do what's right, but not always being black or white. And I loved that about this movie. Every character has, the dual nature, the gray area of, of their characters. And it was very interesting to see because the MCU, Feige's formula for the MCU also includes elevating the heroes to the hero status, whether it's realistic, or whether the villain would do something like that or not. It doesn't matter. The most important thing to Feige was making your heroes stand above everything else and being right, right? But in this movie, they are not, and they have conflicting opinions about stuff, about real philosophical, life-changing stuff, and it's the biggest proponent of that is Icarus on one side, which is he believes that Arisham's grand design, which is his plan for all the universe, is actually worth following blindly. And that's what he basically is. And the team obviously disagrees with him. And even Ajak, who was the leader, disagreed with that, being on this planet and thinking that this planet is something special, being amongst humans that changed her. So he basically killed her, because she would be obviously leading these people to the wrong path, right? Um, and after that, to his shock, Gemma Chan's character became the leader, and she had to lead the team, and basically she was kind of leading them towards the betrayal of Arisham plan, which is basically not allowing the emergence of Tiamat, the eternal, the celestial that would destroy this planet, and this whole side of the team was supposed to stop the emergence and save the planet, basically, which is a fairly right thing to do, right? But no, in order to do that, um, they'll have to stop the birth of a celestial, and because of that, many planets like Earth would stop from being born. So basically, they are choosing Earth over other planets like Earth would have so many other beings as well. So it's basically a moral, conundrum whether to save this planet, whether to listen to Arisham's, design and all that stuff. And they were basically divided on that. And on one side it was Icarus, who blindly just wanted to listen to Arsham and believed in him so much that he was willing to sacrifice everyone, everything, and just to stay on that path. And because of that, he had to fight the team. So basically, the third act is him fighting the team and the team fighting them, fighting him. And they had this plan to create a Unimind, and then Unimind is basically all 10 of them, or how many ever is left. All of them have to mentally bond, and that will create a Unimind thing that will actually help them in stopping the emergence. And obviously,
Yeah.
they cannot do that when there are so many disagreements amongst themselves. So they had to physically fight, and then all of that happened, and then they came to an agreement in the end and created the Unimind. But even after that, obviously, Icarus just couldn't. Um, he agreed to help them in the end, but he didn't. He wasn't happy with the decision because obviously he still believes that they are in the wrong and they are doing the wrong thing, which you cannot argue against actually when you look at the grand scheme of things. So he basically just he was stopped by his love for Cersei, He was trying to kill
Yeah.
her, and he was stopped by his love for Cersei, and he couldn't do it. And because of that, he was left in the middle where he cannot even move forward with his plan, which is to help Arisham, or help the team because he didn't agree with them either. So he was so conflicted that he couldn't take it anymore and just decided to fly away from Earth and into the sun and die. I thought this I thought his character arc was the most amazing arc that I've seen in the MCU so far. And it's just very beautiful and not afraid to, take bold story decisions and stuff. It's his first movie and this happened to him. So, he was a very flawed character, very ridden with guilt and responsibility, had so much um he had to sacrifice so much because he couldn't be with his love, which is Cersei, because he couldn't tell her the secrets and what his plan is. So I think it was one of the best things to come out from this movie. It was very amazing to see, and I think what Chloe did here is kind of underrated, and it's other characters are awesome too, and we'll talk about that as well. But he was basically my favorite because of all this.
Yeah, and like as you explained, it's a very deeply layered film,
I didn't even like cover the
and you didn't
full
even
movie. There's so much,
you
like I
didn't even,
said.
you didn't even jump into the complicated parts.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's basically it. And as I said, like meeting your maker, and that's what Harisham is. With all of the Eternals, he created them for like basically as a code. They were coded to do a job, and as they were in this environment, they learned things. They fell in love. They understood human beings, and they wanted to stay here and live there. They wanted to save the planet that they were born. Um, I would argue they're born on Earth more than they were born by Orisham because their personality, everything was created on Earth by the people of Earth. So yeah, and in the end fight with Icarus was fantastic, awesome to see. But like you just could see everyone's powers, and it was fantastic. Kind of like Zack Snyder's Justice League Heroes Park, or maybe a scene at the end with Steppenwolf, the Paradigm, and stuff like. Everybody has their moment to shine and their cool action sequence. That was awesome. It's like it's not like there's large periods of this movie that's just talking and talking and talking, but it's interesting, and you learn more about the characters and where they came from, and it's just very interesting. And if you're somebody who has liked Zack Snyder's movies, you're going to love this one because of how deep it actually goes. And it looks like that Zack Snyder was a producer on this, or he was involved with this film because it looks like his type of movie. And it looks like Chloe Zhao was inspired by Man of Steel, maybe even Watchmen, or Batman v Superman. Any of these movies that Zack has done with Superman, and just his overall his look and her look. And actually, to be fair to her, in Nomadland, which she won an Oscar for, a lot of that film looked like Eternals.
yeah,
Eternals looked like that film, a lot of it. So that's just her style. That's what she wants to do, and she shot a lot of this movie on location, which added to it magnificently. A lot of the Marvel movies are on green screen, blue screen, in a studio, and they never leave. Here they were out and they were making this as real as they possibly could. Of course, they can't every time because they go into space and there's massive cosmic fights and
yeah.
stuff like that. But
They
the little
cannot
things
actually go
are
to space and shoot.
yeah, not yet. But I appreciate them going the practical location route as best as they could because it adds to it a lot. Like Ajax, Salma Hayek's character, he lives in the middle of nowhere, and you can see that they shot that in the middle of nowhere, and it adds to it. It really does. So yeah, I can't wait to watch it again. It's a fantastic film, and I hope Kevin Feige wants to do more of this tone going forward, and I hope like always now returns. I think there's rumors that she's going to be doing his Star Wars movie um, next. So that's intriguing. And we could probably guess that months ago because Kevin Feige is just obsessed with Chloe Zhao and her style.
Yeah,
So I think he's going to try and keep her around for a good long time. I don't think she's going to go to DC anytime soon. There's some talks, maybe reports that she would. I don't think she's going to go to DC at all. I don't think he will let what happened with James Gunn happen, where he goes over there. He'll tie Chloe Zhao down for a number of projects, Star Wars and future Eternal movies. At the end, like this movie didn't end on a happy note. Grisham came and he took Kingo, he took Phastos, and he took uh, Siri for
Seriously.
what they or Cersei for what they did, and for going against his wishes and killing the Celestian of Earth, who was going to devour Earth. He took them off, and it ends like it ends bigger than Infinity War did because I'm literally scared for Earth right now. I'm scared for these characters because if Harisham comes back and he decides that Earth isn't good enough, the people of Earth aren't good enough, all he do is just swipe at the planet and everyone's dead.
Yep.
So
He can
I'm
literally just
there's
flick Earth
that's
right
it.
out of existence.
There's more stakes in this film than there is in any other MCU film. There's actual consequences for what the Eternals have done, and I'm scared, and I want to see what happens next. We all knew at the end of Infinity War that they would come back from the snap, and they would probably end up defeating Thanos in the next movie. Here, I don't know what's going to happen next, and I'm excited, but I'm also in fear for the characters. So it did not end on a good note whatsoever, and that's what I liked about it as well because it took itself seriously. It didn't say, "Oh, let's go into the sunset now and let's go to Eternals 2 or let's stop a different movie." It does that, sets up other movies, but no, this story didn't end well, even though they won. So yeah, I can't praise the movie enough. I do think it's the best MCU film. I don't think any other MCU films are in this film's league whatsoever. I think when I'm ranking the MCU now, I'm going to have to rank the saga,
Yeah.
Infinity War saga, and the Black Widow and Shang-Chi. And then over here will just be Eternals on its own.
Yeah.
And the only person that can compete with Chloe Zhao is herself. So it's going to be Eternals 1 versus Eternals 2. That's all I can see going forward.
Yeah.
Unless, now to be honest, to be fair to Kevin Feige, Loki, WandaVision, The Falcon and Winter Soldier were not typical MCU projects either. There was a lot of experimenting going on. It had a lot of MCU humor, and probably by WandaVision maybe didn't land that well. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was more of an MCU movie, the ending of that. And Loki was actually a pretty, oh my God, moment ending as well. So I think they're taking a little bit more risk with these movies going forward. Shang-Chi was fantastic, even though that's more of an MCU format. That was a great movie. That was
Yeah.
fantastic. Black Widow was more of a safe route, and I think that movie should have come out 10 years ago. But they're taking a lot more risk with their stories going forward, and I hope Kevin Feige continues to develop this because the fan base is going to come no matter what, I think, because there's a trust that they're being built up. So I hope we get, not going to get rid of the formula, but we're still going to have MCU type movies, but throw in the Lokis, throw in the Eternal movie here and there, and just freshen it up a bit.
Yeah, man, I agree. Like this, I was basically thinking how to even rank the MCU movies and this movie amongst them. Like I cannot do that because when I'm ranking the MCU movies, I go by entertainment factor, I go by action, how much I loved it, how much rewatch factor it has, how many times I can watch it, um, and all of that stuff, right? So that's just not applicable here because this is a completely different type of movie. It's not an entertainment action movie. It's not a comedy movie. So it would be unfair to Infinity War um placing this movie above that because that movie wasn't trying to be this. And it would be unfair to Eternals to put Infinity War over this because Infinity War was a massive comic book, epic action movie, but Eternals wasn't trying to be that. So I don't know, man. It's like you said perfectly. There's just a different type of thing. It should be in its own league, and I just cannot put this within the MCU ranking at all. And
No,
yeah,
it makes the rest of the movies irrelevant because the
yeah,
consequences in this one are just enormous. But I will say that this is Marvel's epic. I think this is their cream of the crop. This is their epic for the MCU. Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think, is the epic of DC.
hmm
Even though that was only a streaming movie, it should have been out in theaters. But I think Zack Snyder's Justice League is DC's epic. The New Gods, Darkseid, Steppenwolf, the multiverse, the multiple
history
timelines.
lesson.
That's the epic, the history lesson. This is Marvel's epic because it
Yeah,
delves into that as well. The equivalent of like not the equivalent of Darkseid, but Harisham and the Celestials are kind of, that's that galaxy god kind of element. You have the
yeah,
flashbacks through time. like the history lesson, but with the Eternals and the different like people compare Avengers versus Justice League, who has had the better movies. It's kind of unfair because the Avengers is just like a group of heroes come brought together to defend Earth, and some of them are humans, and there's Thor, of course, is a god. But all of the Justice League, you could argue, are gods, all of them, and all the Eternals are gods. But the
Yeah.
Eternals, it's two stories about God, and I'd argue Batman's a god as well. He's the one who brings the team together. Um, so you get these two movies that are two epics, Marvel's epic, DC's epics, with gods taking on gods. It's it's fantastic. We
Yeah.
live in a year where DC and Marvel both had epics come out. People might disagree with me, but I don't give a fuck. It's true.
Yeah.
Two epics came out in the 1 year from DC and Marvel, and it's
It's
going to be very hard to touch.
crazy.
That will never happen again.
I never thought that Eternals would turn out like this because there was no indication of it. Well, yes, Chloe Zhao was going to direct it. We knew that, this movie would be good because she's a great director, but we didn't know that it would go this deep. And I just loved every second of it, man. Like like I said, I just wanted more. That's what I wanted from the movie. But yeah,
It
I
actually
agree with you.
it actually took me a few minutes to get into the movie because it was so different. I
Yeah.
couldn't see
The way
because
the
the MCU
movie
movies,
starts, even with a text,
yeah,
with a
just
scrolling
just
text.
just scrolling text, and like it just felt like Dune. I felt like I was watching Blade Runner or something because
Or
the
Star
opening text
Wars.
comes up. Star Wars, it just felt like one of those movies, and like it took me a few minutes to get into it because the color grading is actually very dark compared
Hmm.
to other MCU movies. It's so if you it makes this film look like a black and white film because the MCU films are so bright and like, they're on
Yeah.
green screen and stuff like that, and the color grading is just it's always so bright. But here it was just darker, it was grittier, there was a different feel to it, and it added
Yeah.
so much to it. And it took me a few minutes to get into it. I was like, is this going to be good? I don't know if I like it or not. But then as the
Yeah.
story gets into it, you delve deeper into the mythology of the Eternals and Grisham and the Celestials and different Celestials and different planets. And the Eternals exist not just here on Earth, but in other galaxies and other planets. Like there's multiple Eternals all over the galaxy, and they're controlled by different Celestials. And the Eternals themselves have gone from planet to planet. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
They've been on different planets before with the same kind of mission, and then that planet is used to absorb power by the Celestial, and then they move on
Yeah.
to the next planet, and their memories are wiped, and then they start again on
Yeah.
Earth. They've got past memories of different planets where they might have had people they love. I don't know if they can have kids. I don't know, but yeah, it's crazy, and I think a big indicator is that Thanos. I think Thanos was actually even now was more right than he was in Infinity War because he wanted to half the population because he's seen what happens when a planet becomes full, people starve, there's no food. The the Thanos snap stopped this happening sooner. Like
Yeah.
the Celestials, like them using Earth because the half the population snaps. So for it to work, the population needs to be near enough full on Earth, on any planet. But then Thanos snaps the population in half. Oh, then they have to start again. Like for the, did you describe that a little bit better?
No,
It's
that's perfectly. But the only thing, like, look, this movie kind of has some plot holes. One of them is that, um, okay, so Thanos's parents apparently are Eternals in the comics. So I don't know how it is in the MCU, but in the comics, his parents are Eternals. What Thanos is unsure at this point. He is not an Eternal and he's not a deviant, but he might have a deviant gene in him. That's just a guess and a theory, but yeah, that could be
but
possible. But
his brother, Harry Styles,
yeah, he's an Eternal.
he's a full blown Eternal.
Yeah,
But I don't know I don't know how it worked. Like Gamora and Nebula are Thanos' kids, but
yeah.
he didn't get with a space chick and have them. You know, he kind of
It's that's
he
what's
brought them in.
That's what's weird to me. Is Thanos adopted by this eternal family? Is is he just created by not organically, like is he created in the what did Arsham call that chamber in which they all were created like robots? Was he created
Oh,
like that?
yeah,
It's hard to
maybe.
say, but yeah, what I'm getting at is basically that we don't know what Thanos is, but
He
um
learned what could happen to the galaxy if the population wasn't
yes,
half.
yeah,
That's what his that's what his gauntlet. That's what he
yeah,
wanted
but
the gauntlet for and the Infinity Stones.
the point I was making is that the Eternals apparently did not interfere when Thanos came and was snapping and snapping the entire universe in half. The Eternals did not interfere. The reason they gave is that they only interfere when deviants are involved, right? And there were no deviants involved during the Thanos thing, but there was also this whole, half of the population disappearing, which is basically um, against Arisham's plan, kind of, because Arisham needed more people for the for Tiamat to emerge, right? So why did Arisham not say, tell Ajak or any of the Eternals to just stop Thanos?
Well, he wouldn't have like it's not like Thanos was on Earth for that long either, and he had the Infinity Stones. So like, how was Harishman supposed to know either? Like he doesn't know
He's
everything.
God.
He can't. He's God, but he doesn't know everything.
Yeah,
He
I
doesn't
think
know that
that's
Harry Styles is going around recruiting other
yeah.
Eternals.
I think
Because
that's one of the things. He's not basically God. He's just a sentinel,
well, there's other
celestial.
Celestials that control other Eternals and other
Yeah.
planets. So
Maybe
Harry
he's
Styles
not
is
all seeing.
Harry Styles is maker could be a nice celestial,
Yeah.
could hate Orisham. You just don't know what the
Yeah.
overall story is. But I think for you to kind of nitpick at that plot hole, I think you have to go deep into it in terms
Yeah.
of why didn't Orisham know about Thanos? Like it's not that obvious of a plot hole. It's
Yeah.
not like them going into it's not like Gamora and Black Widow dying the same way in Endgame, but then they only bring back Gamora.
Yeah.
They don't bring back Black Widow. It's not like a plot hole where Captain America lived a life on a different timeline parallel to what happened in the MCU, even though he's Captain America here and he was growing old with Peggy here. You
Yeah.
know, those kind of things drive my head crazy. But I didn't. I thought it was pretty straightforward. I thought that Thanos kind of
Yeah.
stopped the inevitable by doing the snap, and maybe that's what his intention was as well. He knew what would happen if
Yeah.
planets overpopulated, and yeah.
Well, the out of the movie story is that Eternals didn't exist back then. That's as simple as it gets, but you had to have an in-universe, story to it as well. So they had that. But, you know, uh, I understand. I completely forgive them for that, and I don't think that should be that big of a deal anyway. But like you said, it's just a nitpick. And I also found it interesting that so basically these Eternals go from planet to planet, right? And they each time they get their memories erased, and a celestial emerges. The planet is destroyed. They get sent to another planet, memory reset, and everything, right? So maybe in other planets as well, they tried to stop the emergence, like was hinted in this movie as well, with Tina's whole character being, fighting everyone and stuff. So they did try to stop the emergence on other planets as well, and weren't successful. And I think it's kind of a very beautiful thing um, that they established about Earth, is that because of Earth, because of how people here are, they learned to love and they learned compassion and all that. And because of that, the whole team could create the Unimind. And I don't think they could create the Unimind on any other planet, or any other time they were sent on a mission. I think this is the only time they could create a Unimind, because for that to happen, they all had to agree to it. And I think
You know,
that's beautiful.
it's it's like this is in multiple timelines, but it's
Yes.
multiple Earths, multiple galaxies. Even though it's all
How
happening in the
many
one
different
world.
planets are you going to?
Yeah, like how many planets have the Eternals destroyed, helped
Yeah.
destroy in the galaxy? But how many times have they tried to prevent it and failed?
Yeah.
And this is the one time that they've succeeded. Very much like in Zack Snyder's world and the
Yep.
nightmare timelines. Like he kept failing, kept failing.
Look, I
Thought he
we
had to
can
live.
sit here and compare it to Zack Snyder's Justice League story all day. Like, you believe me, I'm literally suppressing all of that because there's so much similarity, so much. But I didn't
Yeah.
want to just, compare everything to that because it's its own movie as well, and I loved it. But there are very much similar things. And yeah, Nightmare is one of them.
But also, if they wanted, I know I kind of said the Avenger movies are irrelevant right now, but in fairness, Earth is eternalless right now. There's no Eternals on Earth, because they were
Yeah,
taken
that's
by
right.
Grisham, and then you also have Athena, Atia,
Thina
uh,
and
Athena,
um
Macri, and Druig. They're in the
yes.
ship. The ship's called like
Mm-hmm.
a Dromo or something like that.
Domo, yeah.
They're in the ship looking for other Eternals in the galaxy.
Yeah.
They're not on Earth. And then Harisham took Cersei and he took uh, Kingo
Fastos and Kingo,
and
yeah.
Vastus. So there's no Eternals on Earth. Sprite is the only one, but then she was turned into a human.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's probably why you need the Avengers for the next one. So they're not that
Yep.
relevant, but to the overall scheme of things, not that.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, we can go on forever talking about everything. We didn't even dive into other characters here, but I did like. Let's touch upon them. I did like Makari's action. The speed running and all that. It was different. It was unique, and I liked it. Although she wasn't that fast, because you if you have to see how she's running and how, if you want to capture that on camera, you have to limit the speed. That's why you
Yeah,
cannot see Flash running, because he's literally way too fast.
if you actually, great, young people said this film was woke. Like that's not woke at all. I think two characters kissed for like 5 seconds, and people lost their shit. Like what? I was like
Yeah,
expecting this full blown French kiss, 5 10 minute scene, and then it came up, and I was like, really? Is that why people were pissed? Like, get over
yeah,
yourself, like, for God's sake. And then there's like the first MCU sex scene as well. It's like I
yeah.
didn't. Who cares? Who cares? But like, there's a deaf character. There is Angelina Jolie's character. You could, I think she represents people with dementia as well, because she
Oh
forgets a
yeah.
lot, and she kind of has outbursts, and she doesn't know who she is, and things like that.
That's that's also another running theme of the movie. Um, the cast is very diverse, and just forget about the cast being diverse. The characters themselves are very diverse and unique. And when Arisham shows the entire battalion or legion of Eternals, whatever, all of them are different and unique, just like humans are. Some are short, some are very small, some are tall, some are men, women, all of that. And you can see that in the robotic figures that in the scene that we see. So it's it's another thing that Sprite also kind of Sprite is a child character in this, and obviously she has um grown woman tendencies and stuff, but she cannot act on it because she's a child forever. And
Yeah,
she feels bad about it, and she's basically depressed throughout the movie, and she's always wondering why. She's also asked basically that
is
why
it
did Arisha make her that way, and
is it a
I
good
think it was
is it
a
a good
brilliant
represent
thing.
is that kind of a representation to trans people maybe not
I
being
don't
comfortable
know.
in your body? I'm not sure. Maybe
Maybe,
not.
maybe, but I also think that it's just another thing that Chloe inserted into the movie that people are unique and different, and you don't have to feel bad about it. And you just, she basically asked, "Why did Aisha make me that way?" So basically, what a lot of people ask, most people ask,
Yeah.
"Why did God make me this way?" Right? So I think that was very brilliantly done as well. And you know, yeah, like you said, it's very diverse. It's not woke at all. It's naturally, if it's Chloe just wanted to show that, show what humans on this planet are like and what life is like here. And that's another reason I think the color grading conveys, because at first when I was looking at trailers and stuff, it looked very gray and not much processed like Civil War and stuff. And but when I saw the movie, I realized that Chloe just wanted to show Earth as it is and show the beauty that is, when you just go out and see outside without any color grading or anything. It's basically that, and I just loved it.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Can't wait to watch again, and I can't wait when it hits Disney Plus because I think I'll be watching this a good few.
Yeah, this weekend, Shang-Chi is coming out on Disney Plus, so I'm definitely watching that first
Yeah,
because I've only seen that one time and I loved that movie. So I cannot wait to watch that as well. But
yeah.
before moving on to the next topic, do you want to talk about Druid?
Hmm. Yeah. So Drew is played by um what's his name? Kyogan Brian? No.
Barry
Um.
Keegan.
Barry. Sorry, Barry. Yeah.
How
It's
could you
Kyogan, I
forget your
think.
friend's
It's
friend's name?
it's yeah. I know. It's Kyogan actually. I think a lot of people are pronouncing it wrong. Maybe
Oh, okay.
I'm Irish. I think it's
I've
Kyogan.
heard people say just Barry Keegan,
Have
but
Americans been
Kyogan
saying
could be
that?
true. I don't know. I've just heard people say that.
I think it's Barry Keoghan. But anyway,
Yeah, it's spelled that way though. Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's the Irish way of saying that word. Now.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
So, I don't know. Like a report came out yesterday that he could be playing. He's supposed to be in the Batman movie. People are saying he's Mad Hatter or he's right hand man to Commissioner Gordon. Um, but then there's another rumor that he could be Joker, and that's what the report yesterday was that
Hold on.
he could be playing what?
You want to read your tweet? I'm
Which one?
sending it in the group so you can check it. But yeah, I'll
You do it
just pull
live.
that up. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I'll
okay,
just pull
yeah,
that
okay.
up.
I tweeted this. I should have had it. Yeah. So okay. So a few
There you
weeks
go.
ago, I got a message from somebody who is very close to the camp of Barry Keoghan, saying who he was playing in the Batman movie. So this is just like, this is the information I got. I'll read it all out because people say I'm telling lies or just doing it for clicks, but just bear with me. So someone who knows Barry Keoghan personally has informed me that he will be the Joker in the Batman. Said person also informed me that they double checked with someone else and confirmed it. Make of this what you will. Different source than the earlier one today. I was told 2 weeks ago because a different source came out yesterday saying that he was the Joker as well, and that source was not the one that came to me. And the one that came to me is pretty close to that camp. I don't know what the other source. Also, apparently, this wasn't the first DC role he's been considered for in recent years. And overall, I'm not saying this is true, just saying it's what I was told. I'm not confirming it as a scoop or breaking news. Take it with a grain of salt and let's see what happens. He's rumored for 3 roles right now. I understand fully if you think I'm lying and doing it for likes, many people do, and I won't get upset if you want to call me out on this. That is fine. I could be making it up. It could be true, or I could be lied to, but it's pretty close source, so I don't know. Yeah, so basically, he could be playing the Joker. And my theory also is that it's been previously stated the role he is playing, um, which is Mad Hatter or a cop. I think that's a misdirect for a shock when we go in and watch the movie. I think he will be revealed as the Joker, and I've heard of a scene where it could happen as well, which could be true, could be not. I don't know. It's just we've had 2 trailers so far. We've had no look at his character whatsoever. And Matt Reeves is definitely building up a universe for Batman, rogue galleries of Batman. There's going to be multiple villains in the movie, so I wouldn't be surprised if Joker does show up. And that's what I was told is he's playing the Joker, and this isn't the first. DC role he's been up for, and you could probably guess the other one. You'd probably be surprised about when he was considered for. But yeah, that's what I was told, and he was fantastic in Eternal. He's a very good actor, and I can't wait to see him in the Batman, whatever role he's playing. But I was told as the Joker, so I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah. Look at that. Grace Randolph and Chloe Zhao are trending.
I'll take Grace too.
I don't know. But yeah, that was, your scoop. And there's also it's also interesting because when he was announced as the casting, some people were actually theorizing that he could be the Joker because of the way he looks and because of his acting. He's a pretty good actor, and
Mm.
it's that was theorized back then. But now, hearing you say it, from what I know, I think it's confirmed. I know you don't want to say
Yeah,
it, but based on the source, I think it's just confirmed. But yeah, we'll still have
yeah.
to wait and see.
I was talking to the person last night, and they said like because I posted on my Twitter and on my Instagram, and like the person was like really not offended. It just said like, "Man, I'm not telling lies. You don't have to say that this could be true. This could not be true. I'm not telling lies." And I was
Yeah,
basically
that's
saying to him like, I was like basically saying to him, I don't think you're telling me lies. Like I can't because we never know what's going to happen with the movie. Like I can't go
yeah.
and say breaking news. I was told that Barry Keoghan is the Joker. Then we go watch the movie and Barry Keoghan's not in it at all, and it turns out they cut his scene. That could
Hmm.
happen. That could
Yeah,
happen. He might not even be in the movie, or they just cut his scene out, or they leave like an Easter egg in the background somewhere, and he just even
yeah,
have his scene. They cut it out. Then I look like a stupid idiot for saying confirmed.
yeah,
You know, so that's why I'm saying is I don't know if it's fully true or not. I was just told this that he was the Joker in the movie, and the guy said, yeah, that's what I was told. He's the Joker, and I got two different confirmations from two different people, that he was playing that character. So we'll have to wait and see if he is the Joker or not.
yeah. And like you said, he's been in talks with DC for a very long time. And here on the screen, I'm putting a picture of Ben Affleck and him together. So you figure it out.
Yeah, could be
But
yes, and
moving
yeah,
on to our next topic, which is a new exclusive by One Take News. Now, I don't know how reliable they are, and I don't know um, why they haven't been, why it hasn't been reported by Hollywood Reporter or Variety or any of them. But this seems like a likely thing to happen. So that's the reason why we're going to cover it today. But yeah, the news is Chloe Zhao is going to direct the Kevin Feige Star Wars movie. So basically, it was announced, I think, months ago that Kevin Feige is going to produce a Star Wars movie of his own, not in the Skywalker saga or anything that's already existing. Um, but we don't know yet. But yeah, that's how it was pitched. And also, Loki and Rick and Morty writer Michael Waldron, who is amazing, was going to write
yeah.
this.
Look, Loki.
Yes, Loki and Rick and Morty. And, yeah. So now the movie finally has a director in Chloe Zhao, the two-time
Yeah,
Oscar-winning director who just, worked on Eternals as well. And obviously Feige just loved her work, so 100% it was just a done deal. Like she would definitely be directing that Feige movie. Like he would want no one else. you know, she won two Oscars. That itself is marketing the movie. And she did Eternals, which is very controversial for the MCU. That also is good marketing for Star Wars. It will generate a lot of talk. So yeah, Chloe Zhao is one of the biggest directors in Hollywood right now, coming off of two Oscar wins for Nomadland. That's included Best Picture. That included Best Picture. So basically, she won Best Director, and her film won Best Picture. So that's amazing. Zhao recently directed the latest MCU flick Eternals
yeah,
to the mixed reception from critics, but audiences acclaimed it. During the press for Eternals, Zhao expressed her love for Star Wars and how she'd love to direct one. Since then, we've heard some very exciting details about this possibility. We vetted this story out to many sources as possible, and based on that, One Take News can exclusively report that Chloe Zhao is very close to signing on to direct Kevin Feige's Star Wars film, although some sources said she's already signed on. Either way, sources told us that she has always been a top choice for Feige, and it's only a matter of time before it's a done deal. So, yeah, the announcement could come very soon, but I wouldn't doubt it because this seems to be the most obvious choice and match for Kevin Feige. Um, I don't see who else he would pick for his movie. I don't see anyone else. So, what do you think of this news?
Yeah, no, he's praised Eternals hugely. He's been talking about it a lot, and yeah, he seems to be a fan of Chloe Zhao and Eternals, and he definitely wants her back for more MCU projects. Star Wars one, Kevin Feige is making like Kevin Feige. He knows what audiences want. He knows how to really drive it home. So I've no doubt whatsoever that Star Wars will be a hit in his hands as well. But he didn't pick he didn't pick James Gunn or Taika Waititi or Peyton Reed. He picked Oscar winner Chloe Zhao. That has to say a lot for the tone of this movie that he's going for, the overall look for it, and that excites me even more because if you pick somebody else from the MCU, I don't know if I would be as excited. But now he's picked somebody who I just watched her movie and it's fantastic. Her last two movies have been just beautiful character studies, so I'm expecting some of the same with his Star Wars film. So I was not surprised. I thought about this months ago when he was praising the movie and he's making Star Wars. I thought that he would go and get her, and now he has. So that's fantastic. And it looks like that Patty Jenkins and her Rogue Squadron has been delayed. I'd be
Yeah.
surprised that movie even happens. But I'll be wondering, like Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie was a while away. Rogue Squadron was supposed to be coming along nicely, and now they've pushed that out and they've put up Kevin Feige's Star Wars. I don't know if that's a lot to do with the reception of Wonder Woman 84. Could be. They want to get this Oscar-winning director in, always out, get her movie done first. And I think Patty Jenkins is going to have to go back to Wonder Woman 3. I think that's fast track and that's moving nicely. Because there's a lot of rumors coming out about characters popping up and then the Carter and stuff like that. So yeah, it looks like that Patty Jenkins' Star Wars film won't be happening for a long time yet because we all thought that Wonder Woman 3 was like
Yeah.
4 years away at least. Now it looks like the Rogue Squadron is 4 years away at least, and Wonder Woman is coming on along. So I don't know if it's the reception. Wonder Woman 84 was hated by critics. I don't know what the audience score, but you have Eternals, which was hated by critics, but the audience score was pretty high. But you have Kevin Feige, who's going to back his talent and likes her, so he wants her in for that Star Wars movie. Now Patty Jenkins, Star Wars isn't in a good place live action wise. So to bring Patty Jenkins in to make a live action Star Wars movie would be a bit of a risk right now. So yeah, but I'm excited for Kevin Feige's one
Me too.
because of the director he's picked. If he had picked somebody like James Gunn or Taika Waititi, fine directors, great directors, I love them. It would have just told me more about the tone that he was going for. Now that he brings Chloe Zhao in, I like her
Yeah, I
tone that
think
he's looking
together
for.
they can create a new entire new saga for Star Wars, like the Skywalker saga. She can create, a new set of trilogies, like two or three trilogies she can create now with how grand and epic her film was. Imagine that with Star Wars. It's going to be amazing and I cannot wait. Yeah, let's move on to the next topic,
Yeah,
which is The Matrix Resurrections. So finally, we have another poster for The Matrix, and I'm just glad that all these movies, Dune, Justice League, Suicide Squad, Eternals, Shang-Chi, I'm just glad that all of these movies are out of the way. Now there's only one movie that needs to be out of the way, which is Spider-Man. And after that, we just have The Matrix. The hype for this film is, for me at least, it's unbelievable because I'm just so curious as to what they're doing. I feel that it's going to be very ambitious, and a lot of people are not gonna like it, but I feel like I'm gonna love it. But yeah, there's a new poster here, and there's an R rating on it, and we kind of knew that it's going to be R rated, but now it's confirmed, and we have a release date, December 22, also on the poster, and yeah, the poster is really cool, but there's different stuff that we can talk about here. But firstly, what do you think of the poster?
Yeah, I don't think the poster was officially like released as in our brand new poster for Matrix Resurrections. It was
Hmm.
put on the HBO Max app, as in this is what's coming soon. So it's a pretty simple poster. It's not meta. It's not
Or is it?
groundbreaking or anything. It's just Keanu Reeves walking down the street. It could be. It could be. There's a mysterious. There's a woman there. There's a red light. So it could. It could be. But it just has Matrix Resurrections. The biggest thing about the poster is the little R in the bottom right corner, indicating that the film will be R rated, like the three previous Matrix films were R rated for gore scenes and stuff like that. And I don't know if there's any blood in the Matrix movies. I forget. But yeah. So R rated is good. Poster's okay. It's fine. I, I'm sure they'll make a better one. It's nothing to be excited about, really.
But there's something else here that we have to talk about. So there's basically a new plot detail, maybe, because of some strange statue that appeared. So let's take a look.
Our first news comes from Madrid, Spain. The official Warner Brothers Spain social media published a promotional picture. Translating from Spanish, it reads, and I quote, La Menina has just arrived in Madrid from the Matrix, and it has a question for you. Red or blue pill? The choice is yours. End quote. When we saw this statue in the picture, we thought it was a reference to a robot from the Animatrix, but Reddit user Mist Quill stated that the statue known as La Menina is common in the city. And I quote, This is in Madrid, where it's very common to see many statues resembling the princesses from the famous paintings Las Meninas. You can see other statues like this all around the city with many patterns, etc. They all look like an upper-class girl from the mid-17th century when the original was painted. End quote. The name Menina means girl, orphans who were assigned to work for the queen. Menina is also the name used in Spain to refer to the caretakers of royal girls. It became a cultural phenomenon after a painting of the same name became an acclaimed piece. However, in the city of Madrid, you can see multiple statues of Las Meninas with different designs and colors, so Warner is using local culture to promote Matrix Resurrections. Interesting that a statue was chosen to represent the caregivers of orphan children. This connects to the Oracle, who was a caregiver of children like Sati.
Yeah, so I cannot play the rest of that because it has the movie clips. But yeah, it's very interesting because I am completely loving the marketing for this movie because I always love when they do some weird real life meta stuff. The last time they did this was with BVS, I think. They created a whole Lex Luthor's, Lex Luthor's OS, and they had all of that available for us to, check and stuff. And then they had Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, and yeah, doing Turkish Airlines ads
Airlines.
as if they were real life Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince. So all of that stuff I really love, and so the Matrix is also doing that. They had the first teasers set out, which had like different footage for every time we were watching, and it showed the time which the person was talking about, the exact time that we were watching it. So kind of gave that very meta vibe, like they're speaking to us at that very time. So it made it kind of personal, and it was very, very cool. So yeah, the marketing is very good, and this statue thing, it looks like they are going to market this in real life in all the big countries and cities and stuff like that as well, which would add to the hype because a lot of people passing by that will definitely be intrigued by what that is, and with that, they'll definitely go watch the movie and probably enjoy it.
It's embedded into the culture of that country, and like India or Ireland, if you've seen stuff that is speaking to your culture, you'll stop and you look at it more and you'll appreciate it more. Like, what's this? Oh, Matrix. This is a Matrix statue in something that's in our culture. That's pretty cool. It makes you kind of aware of the movie a little bit more. So, yeah, and then the meaning of those statues is like little girl, and they're kind of slaves to a princess. They work for the princess, which the guy said as well that it,
Hmm.
it relates to Oracle, in terms of Oracle had all these kids who were basically living with her and working for her and stuff like that. So that could be a mirror image of Oracle. These statues represent little girls who work for
Yeah.
the princess, and Oracle is the all powerful. So like that's a interesting parallel. I'm wondering who decides this. Is it the marketing team, or does Lana Wachowski just so intelligent that she goes, I'll sit there in Spain, make me a Matrix statue, put it there. Why? Don't worry about it, just do it. Stuff
I
like
think
that.
it's definitely Lana.
It's insane. So I love this. I love this. Yeah, it's fantastic. And yeah, it's pretty cool. And the statue was holding the red pill, the blue pill. Fantastic stuff. I want to see more of this. Uh, it's very hard because it's not just a theatrical movie; it's also on streaming. So I hope that doesn't take away from the marketing of it. I hope there's more marketing to come, more meta stuff. We have to get another trailer, we have to get more posters, character posters. Um, what else could we get? I'm excited. Bring it on, like, because this makes it more like an event, more like. And another thing as well, it's so crazy because Mark Zuckerberg is credited to
Yeah.
Meta Facebook, which will basically be the Matrix. You can create an avatar, you can go into a world, and you can live that. You don't even have to give your real name, he said either. You can create a persona for yourself, which is just ridiculous and crazy. And of course, it doesn't look as good as plugging into the Matrix, but I bet you someday you could probably do that yourself, but can plug into some universe. It's crazy. But is it the Meta Cordax
Yeah.
building in the Matrix
Yeah.
franchise that was called? Like, come on. You got Meta Facebook turning into Meta, and then in the Matrix, there's the Meta Cordax building. And when Facebook announced that, Matrix released a brand new poster and just said they used the hashtag, all
Yeah.
the accounts saying hashtag
And
Meta.
on the poster,
Like,
they said now
who
based on real events.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, who started this? Was it the Matrix knew that Facebook was going to do this, that this was going to happen, or did Facebook watch the Matrix and decide to do it? What's going on?
Crazy.
It's absolutely insane. It's crazy, and we're going to be living in the Matrix. And also, like, yeah, we could probably
Yeah.
talk for an hour about the Meta Facebook thing because, like, what is gender anymore in the Matrix? What is yourself? Who are you? Is yourself? Are you now in real life, or are you the real you inside the Matrix, inside the Meta Facebook? Like, cool. Just so many questions we could talk
Yeah.
about, but I'm surprised that well, I'm sure there'll be more Matrix films to come, hopefully, but I wouldn't be surprised down the line. The only way to see the Matrix movie is in the Matrix, Meta Facebook or something. It's it's crazy. And also another thing that we should talk about is Yahya Abdul Mateen. He addressed all the backlash about him being Morpheus taking over for Lawrence Fishburne, and he says people are a little bit annoyed at that, but who's who said I'm the real Morpheus, or who said I'm the Morpheus that
Really?
they know? So could Morpheus be could be an agent? Could Morpheus be an agent? I don't know. It's very interesting that he addressed the controversy about him replacing Lawrence Fishburne. And like, we could see Lawrence Fishburne return at some stage. Like, who's this? Yahya Abdul looks like Lawrence Fishburne. He dresses like him. He talks like him. Is he him?
Yeah, it's very interesting because I've always thought, from right from the first trailer and from the pics that they released, I think I've thought that, Yaya's character and Jessica Henwick's character, they both are actors who were hired to play Morpheus and Trinity inside the movie. You know, I think the corporation hired them to be Morpheus and Trinity, but you also have real life Trinity, but you don't have real life Morpheus, or at least we don't know.
You also have You also have a movie
Yeah,
in the background as well. Matrix movies
exactly.
are playing. I actually think I don't think I think Lawrence Fishburne
Yeah,
said he wasn't asked to come back, and Hugo Weaving was supposed to be doing a play during the shooting of Matrix, which seems a little bit weird that he wouldn't. I don't know, like you're talking about the Matrix, the thing that probably made you the actor you are, and you decide to do a play instead of that, or the movie doesn't wait for you, or the play. I don't know, it's weird, but I do think that they will be in the movie, the two
yeah,
of them, in some capacity. I'm not saying they showed up and shot scenes for the Matrix movie, Matrix Resurrections, but I think they're in the movie. That
yeah,
makes sense. I think they're in it.
yeah. I agree. So yeah, let us know what you guys think of this movie. Are you excited for it? Are you not hyped at all? Do you want to wait for more trailers and stuff? For us both, I think we are going to dive a lot deeper into this movie because there's so much to unpack, and when the movie comes out, it's just going to be so much fun. So I cannot wait. So yeah, with that, we have concluded our show today, and all the topics are done. So thank you everyone for stopping by and having a chat with us. I know it was a different time than usual. It's just crazy because I've started my new job, like I said, and my timing is very different. It's completely opposite of what I'm used to. So my sleep schedule is completely different and fucked, and I'm literally unable to do it at that time. But yeah, we'll soon figure out one time when my training is done and I'll be given a shift and stuff. By that time we can figure out what the schedule is. So yeah, until then, maybe we'll have a show this weekend as well though, at the regular time. So yeah, looking forward to that. Until then.
And I'm seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League in the
Oh,
cinema on Saturday.
nice.
So can't wait to see that on the big screen. I only got to see it on my TV back in March, so that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, dude. All right, so you can find us at the Real Talk Live on all social media. You can find me at Krypton Caged on all social media. And where can I find you, Mar?
Yeah, movies that matter on all the social media, even the Matrix.
Awesome. All right,
Because even in the Matrix, I'm talking about movies because I love it so much.
nice. All right then. Until next time, take care and goodbye.